Now, is the UPDF more protected than God? And under what criteria are they protecting these men of God? Mr. Chair, I'm a little scared even to give offertory in born-again churches because it looks insecure. So I would like to know from the UPDF, these men who are dressed in your uniform smartly, standing behind a man of God, so-called man of God, with a gun, and all those, I don't know the military language, with bullets and all these things. And then also some civilians, actually, with no security threat. We have crime intelligence, we have Uganda police. Nowadays, Mr. Chair, we are running into campaigns. You see some people are saying, I'm connected to so I'm connected to a minister, both is coming to campaign, and yes, true. I'm just giving an example, but they use big names because no one will claim saying I'm connected to Brandon. But now, these people are armed. I wrote a letter. I have this incident in Gaddafi barracks in Jinja. There is a so-called pastor, doctor, man of God. He's somewhere eyeing for political interest, but he moves with about 4 of these armed people. Green. I wrote to the RDS, I wrote to the DISO, I wrote one officer in this parliament who is a colleague of mine, and I wasn't answered, but I have documents. At an appropriate time, Honorable Chair, I will share them with you. Now, as a spokesperson of the NRM, some things cannot be defended when we are right here sitting. And when you ask, we shall handle. That's the normal. Now, if you can tell Brandon, who speaks for all the NRM MPs in Parliament, shall handle, and the issue is not handled, how about someone from Rita Makoli in Wiengo? So, please, UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Forces, let us lift this price of Uganda People's Defenses so that it's not ugly army for the... If somebody has a security threat, police is there. And there are so many other measures. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to singly go back on radio and defend the defendable because I love the UPDF. Thank you.
All this classified equipment has become even more expensive, and the cost of the items is going up every day. So the ministry definitely requires more money on that specific item. Now, under AWESOM, we have moved from AMISOM to ATMIS now. Our mandate is going to be under AWESOM. AU, I think, support for Somalia. And this is like external stabilization of Somalia. Yeah. This is like external financing of about, we are getting 262.542. These are allowances that are given to our soldiers who participate in the peacekeeping in Somalia. So this is what we are expected to get next financial year. And in the financial year 26-27, up to 29-30, we put there 00 because we can't predict how much we are likely to get then. So in the total, grand total, under PIAP, the PIAP indicators and the amount of money provided, financial year 25-26, the grand total will be 4.3 trillion shillings. 26-27, 4.4. 27-28, 5 trillion. 28-29, 6.2 trillion. 29-30, 7.2 trillion shillings. Yeah, but in spite of the required amount is 1.6 trillion shillings. The allocation, however, is 1.2 trillion. And the shortfall here is 358.7 billion shillings. The money required here under wage is salary for 10,000 recruits who are currently undergoing training, and for enhancement of professional allowances, and along the, of course, you have promotions, so it also covers the promotion effect and the salary enhancement for the lower cadres. Enhancement of pensions for veterans, that is once the bill. The required amount was 30.8 billion shillings. We didn't get anything on this item, so there is that shortfall, the same amount. And for us, we needed 99.9 billion shillings. Money is because of increased strength and the requirement of providing medical treatment to veterans as well. We are now still treat the 1 inch within 8 kilometers radius, but of late it has even gone beyond 8 to 50. So we cater for civilians as well. Now on formal education,
that treatment barracks and therefore a health facility, apart from treating veteran UPDF and veterans, you also treat civilians free of charge. What radius?
It was supposed to be 8 kilometers. Is it 8? But now a shortfall is 12. And as you are aware, Chairman, capitalization of defense forces really is very critical item of logistical support. The required amount will start 482.3 billion. The shortfall is 261.8. So the shortfall is the strength, because like I said, we have 10,000 troops that are currently undergoing logistical requirements that we avail other troops that are already on board. So there will also be new recruitment, land forces, air force, etc. The required amount is 197. And the reason why we want this money is because there is increased acquisition of equipment over the years. Swarmed. So in this particular case, the equipment also require such a special at 8, and the shortfall is 106.1 billion shillings. So here again, we are talking of increase in strength. I'd already talked of the 10,000 plus 10,000. And the UPDF is using currently because of quality and design. Our troops need more troop carriers and command vehicles to support them in the operations that they are shortfall of 71.2. And again here it is increased level is for equipment for the UPDF National Referral Hospital, which is supposed to open soon. And this is a contractual obligation. So we are getting this money from the remittances of AMISOM. But
excuse me, as you present,
here where we need serious support because we have to, pay for the equipment that we are getting for the hospital, And
First of all, we are putting you on notice that time permitting, next week the committee will visit Mbuya Military Referral Hospital to see, because we've been giving you money, we now want to see how far. Okay, go on.
okay, Chairman. So we need support there to pay for some of the equipment that we are acquiring. It's not only for the referral hospital, but it's also supposed to cover other health facilities in the various services and divisions and formations. Now, under infrastructure development, we needed 141.6 billion. We got 161.6, which is a shortfall of 80 billion shillings. And this is for purposes of constructing 700 housing units in selected sites across the country, and also for construction of the joint headquarters at Mbuya. And we've already started on this project of joint headquarters at Mbuya, but we are still at a low level. So that is an area where, if possible, this amount of money could be, pushed up so that we finish our joint headquarters. Under construction and equipment of maintenance workshops, we needed 28.9. Nothing was provided, so that shortfall is still standing of 28.9. And this is for purposes of construction and equipping of in-house garages, which are intended to reduce the high cost of repairs in private garages and to enhance internal capacity. And Mr. Chairman, this was a directive by His Excellency the President. So we are implementing, but still the funds aren't adequate. Under land acquisition, 88.5, allocation 17.7, shortfall 70.8, and there are lots of debts here, which amount to about 218.8 billion. And out of that 218, we only have that 17.7 to partly settle the obligations. So there is that shortfall, which is quite huge, of 201, if you look at the dates, run dates specifically, not on the allocation. So we are saying that if we could get at least paid in 2 financial years, with Uganda shilling 70.8 billion in financial 25-26, then this would help us to settle all the land compensations without having to go to litigations. Under solar power project, we needed 74. 0 monies were allocated, so that shortfall is still at 74. And we are in the process of constructing a solar project at Nakasongola. And this is aimed at reducing the expenditure on electricity, which is currently at 26 billion annually. You are aware that we have a project under Korora Airstrip, and the reason for this solar power projects is to at least offset this heavy bill on electricity. We'll be generating our own power, consuming it, and reducing on the expenditure. Now, under operations, we have Operation Shuja. This is our involvement in DRC, where we are following the ADF. So here we needed 41.2, we have 26.3 as an allocation, and the shortfall is 14.9 billion. Continues to undertake operations in DRC against ADF. So the additional funding requirement will cater for food, fuel, medical administration, and maintenance of the equipment. Another operation is Karamoja, Usalama kwa wote. Here we needed 46.8 billion shillings. We have been allocated 23.7, so there is a shortfall of 23.1 billion shillings. So the UPDF here is still continuing its operations in Karamoja, and this money is supposed to cover feeding, fuel, maintenance of equipment, CIMIC activities, and operation fund. I'm sure in Karamoja there is some usalama of some nature of late, because security has at least improved. So more funding definitely would lead to total elimination of insecurity in Karamoja. Now on election security, elections are soon, so here we need to protect all of you, members of parliament, during this period. And the required amount is 138.4 billion shillings. The shortfall, we didn't get anything, so the shortfall is still 138.4 billion shillings. And this is for purposes of providing logistical and operational requirements of UPDF while securing the 2026 general elections. Under production, we have Uganda Air Cargo Corporation, and it needed 381 billion shillings. Nothing has been provided, and the money is basically for capitalization of Uganda Air Cargo in line with the cabinet directive. Cabinet directed, but Uganda Air Cargo has never received this money. National Enterprises Corporation NEC required 15.5. The allocation in the budget is 9.4, and a shortfall of 6.1 billion shillings. And mainly this money is required to address research and development under Ruero Industries and headquarter shortfalls. If Ruero here, for sure we are going to reduce on the money that we spend on importing classified equipment. I think you have seen their buses, several things that rail industry is doing, armored vehicles. So that is an area that requires serious input. Now the subtotal here is 396, and that is under Uganda Air Cargo and Ruero Industries, National Enterprises Corporation. And of that, only 9.4 is availed in the allocation in the budget. So we still have that shortfall of 387.2 billion shillings. Under police and administration, there is the management of veteran affairs, And we had requested for 21.6. Only 2.4 is in the budget and a shortfall of 19.2. This is an item that even appeared in the last financial year, this financial year. And this money has not come out, yet it is urgently required. Now, compensation of West Nile ex-combatants. Again, that total requirement was 26 billion, sorry. And we received 5 billion. No, 21 is the shortfall. Because we didn't get anything at all on that item. Compensation of West Nile ex-combatants. Required is 21. Yeah. But initially, it was 26. We got 5 billion. So the balance on that requirement is that 21, which is not provided for in the budget. No, because in this year it's only 21 because we have already offset the 5. Yeah, so it can't appear here. Yeah. This is a system that has been handling the payment of wages, etc. in the ministry. And now on top of that, we want to add logistics management. And we need 40 billion shillings, but in the allocation, it is 0. So the shortfall is still 40. And like I had said, it's for upgrading that system which is in existence to host logistics and pension management systems. Under third-party compensation and court awards, the required is 29.3, allocation is 2.8, shortfall 26.5. So here we need money to cover what we owe to settle this compensation so that we don't go to court and pay more. Under electricity, we needed 150.8. The provision is 25.3. Shortfall is 125.5. And mainly, this is for domestic areas, what we have already consumed under electricity. Water, still domestic areas, we need 19 billion. The allocation is 12.8, shortfall 6.2. And these are areas where we have issues with these companies that provide these services. So the subtotal here is 281. And of that, 281 required, 43 allocated, 238.4 shortfall. So the grand total here is 4.7 trillion, allocation is 2.3 trillion, and shortfall of 2.383 trillion shillings. So that is on the item of shortfalls in the budget as per the allocation. So this takes me to issue number 3, which is budget alignment to NP4. You requested us to provide evidence of alignment to the NDP4 and how the vote is addressing the gaps identified in the plan in the next financial year 25-26 and over the medium term. So in program-based approach to planning and budgeting under NP4, the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs falls under the Governance and Security Program, GSP, and has aligned its 5-year priorities to NDP4, looking at the goal, the theme, and the objectives below. So under NP4 goal, we are required to achieve higher household incomes and employment for sustainable socio-economic transformation as a country.
I think you can
Jump that.
yes, go ahead to page 19. Where,
Table 5,
yes.
we are showing the ministry's priorities, outputs, and budget for financial year 25-26. And this is in line with NDP4. Now, NDP4 objective, number 1 here is strengthen good governance, security, and the role of the state in development. And under governance, security program objectives, it is to strengthen the capacity of security agencies to address security threats and emergencies. So under the Ministry of Defense priorities, financial year 25-26 and the medium term, we are talking of enhancement of UPDF capability and capacity. So the output under that priority will be technical capability enhanced. And of this, we need a budget of 1.8 trillion shillings. This has some classified component. And also, same priority, there is capacity of UPDF enhanced. And this refers to recruitment and training. And the budget for 25-26 here is 23 billion 152 million 14,978 Uganda shillings. Now the second priority here under Ministry of Defense 25-26 is improving welfare of UPDF personnel. And here we are looking at the output being payment of salaries, which is 1.266 trillion shillings, housing of UPDF personnel and their families improved, which is 61.6 billion shillings, healthcare services of UPDF personnel and their families enhanced, 45.1 billion shillings. Defense Forces shop supported 8 billion. And then another priority still under Ministry of Defense is provision of combat services support. This is logistical support. So here we are looking at provision of food, fuel products, clothing, utilities, maintenance of equipment, operations, transport, among other services. And here we need, the budget that we have put here is 582 billion 832 million 544,740. Over the page 20, another priority is engagement in productive services or activities. So the ministry's engagement in productive services as an output is supposed to be enhanced. And here we are looking at the NEC, which gets about 2 billion support on salaries. And then Uganda Cargo 5.5, giving a total of 7.5 billion shillings. The next priority is building, Chairman, is 4.356.
Honorable Sech.
I thought she was proceeding well because she's helping us to go
To understand the
4.3 trillion shillings. Now we go to issue number 4, alignment to the budget strategy, financial year 25-26. You're asking us to align, illustrate the vote alignment with objectives and the budget strategy for financial year 25-26. So the budget strategy we had already highlighted agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral-based industrial development, including oil and gas, science, technology, innovation, and knowledge economy. And ours is sustaining peace and security, macroeconomic stability, as well as strengthening governance and public sector efficiency. Now, Motiva contributes majorly to that area of sustaining peace and security. So in order to achieve this priority, the ministry has identified a number of priorities, and these are in table 6. Strategy 1, the priority area is sustaining peace and security, macroeconomic stability, governance and public sector efficiency. Priorities here is enhancement of UPDF capability and capacity, and the key interventions. Should I go through them? I can jump. Okay. So the key interventions are there. So under priority number 2, improving welfare of UPDF personnel, again, the key interventions are there. Provision of combat services support. Again, we have the key interventions there in the document. Then engagement in productive activities. We have Uganda Cargo Corporation. And we have the key interventions. National Enterprises Corporation also. Again, we have the key interventions in that document. And yeah. Then building a vibrant and productive military veteran society. The details are there as key interventions. Then undertaking infrastructure development. We have the key interventions there. And this goes overboard to page 27. So undertaking research and development is another priority for the ministry. Supporting and contributing to international obligations, deployment of defense attachés. So those are the interventions. Institutional coordination is another priority. So implementation of UPDF Amendment Act 2024. And more interventions over the page 28. This takes me to issue number 5, budget discipline, demonstrate efforts in allocating resources to supplementary prone expenditure areas. So here the ministry budget allocation is 4.3 trillion, but it remains inadequate to address a number of supplementary prone expenditure areas, which are mainly wage, pension, gratuity, food, fuel, medical expenses, clothing, and classified procurements. Now here the ministry's supplementary, in table 7, we are showing the ministry's supplementary prone expenditure. The requirement is 1.625, the allocation is 1.266. So this is what has been allocated. But again, wage is, an area where there are shortages. And that's the shortage, I'm showing it there. Pension and gratuity, again, we gave it 210 against 337. Food, 220 against 482. So the shortfalls are there. So all these items that we put here are the budget prone shortage areas. And they are over the...
Just for emphasis, you ask this. These are areas which are well known in advance about the wage. The number is known. Pension is all related to the personnel. Gratuity. Food is based on the number. Fuel, medical expenses, clothing. These are all well known. We would not ordinarily be asking for supplementary. So when you see it, these are foreseeable, and it makes the ministry look so bad that every now and then we have a shortfall in this area. Just to emphasize that it's not that lack of planning. There's something that this committee can help us to find out why do we get supplementaries in areas that you already know. That you have this number of soldiers, they will need clothing, they will need food, they will need pension, they will need salary. Just to emphasize. PS, go.
Honorable colleague, our issue was where we have given you money, why have you not done what you are supposed to have done? And yes, so you took us through budget discipline, you took us through performance of the budget 2023-24, right? Our other concern is the stock of domestic areas. Very, very important, because it touches on our voters, it touches on accountability. Please take us through that. How come you don't pay people who supply you?
Thank you, Chair. The reason why we don't pay is because when we ask for funding, we normally get less than what we have asked for. And mainly when we ask for funding, extra funding, it is in those specific areas that are prone to supplementary. So if they are not addressed, definitely we still move on with dates. So this is the reason that we can't pay. Sorry. Now going to...
Yes, conclude.
Okay, to the response on domestic areas stock. Table 8, which is on page 31, shows the details. We have food bills, and this is an area that we pointed out that has issues and shortfalls. Here, financial year 2021-22, we are taking you back. We had, I think, a domestic area of 10.1 billion shillings. 22-23, this money was not cleared, and we incurred now another debt. And financial year 23-24, we are at 883 billion, were at 83.6 billion shillings.
At this point, as I can see, second, what belongs actually to a house that appropriates money, I wonder how it will honor other domestic areas of other entities. I want the minister to explain when are they paying this money to the parliamentary circle, totaling to 34 billion shillings, and what can be done.
Thank you.
How best can this committee help to actually handle that? Still on domestic areas, no, I think still on areas generally, there is money for veterans, West Nile, Bank Front, Amuka, and then Rwenzori. These people, there's a budget of 30 billion and zero allocation. Is this part of the priority areas for the ministry really? We know how our veterans, they served in this country, they played their role. Today they are living in a very unfortunate situation. Is it part of the priority areas in the ministry really? And how can this committee and parliament help them to have these people, especially West Nile Front Bank? These people are living in a terrible situation, embarrassing situation, and really it disappoints to see that these people who offer the service and help to liberate this country are living in that situation.
Thank you, Honorable Keyo. Although you have listed
2-3 years back,
areas.
yeah, the president originated a communication directing the father of Muhoz.
Oh, no, you are protected. This floor is yours, Honorable Director.
Originated a communication directing the Ministry of Finance to immediately pay off all areas regarding water and electricity. And it was at that point that UPDF commenced installing solar and digging shallow water. How come that it's still here, yet they were cleared?
Okay. Okay, so now, thank you. I guess those are the concerns on domestic area stock.
Thank you very much. I'm concerned about the presentation by the ministry. In this financial year 25-26, Mr. Chairman, we are seeing a grand total of 4 trillion 356 financial year 2025-2026. This is as juxtaposed with one of 2024, the outgoing financial year, whose budget is 4 trillion 754 billion. Mr. Chairman, we are witnessing increased demands and strain on the UPDF and the ministry. Yet the budget is going down. Increased engagements, more recruitment. Already there is the 10,000 under recruitment, but they expect another recruitment of another 10,000.
The 10,000 under training.
Yes, under training, and also they intend to recruit another 10,000. But the budget is not supporting this. What magic are you planning, Minister of Defense? Where will you get this? You are having good plans. You've led us through. But we know you can only do this through the budget. But the budget is dwindling. And yet we are going through an election year where you will have to safeguard the domestic and external challenges to the country. And even you are undertaking to realign and with the NDP for. But the resources are not matching to that intention. So why are you not telling us the truth? How will you be able to do this? How will you be able to sustain this in view of the diminished budget, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Number two, enhancement. as a ministry, you've not told us how far you've gone with the salary enhancement of the lowest cadres, the officers and men of low ranks from private, and yet you had made an undertaking. And this is part of the welfare, this is part of the morale.
Honorable said, just supplement, it's not an undertaking. We actually, last budget, Parliament passed that.
Yes.
Yes. So
but they are not, we are not seeing how it was effected. Ordinarily, we would want to know how much is our private now being able to earn. To the sergeant, lieutenant, up to captain. Would be grateful to know that how you have undertaken and how you have indeed implemented that.
Thank you.
Lastly, very lastly from me, Mr. I'm seeing you were planning for 213 billion, 118 million for pension and gratuity for veterans resettled and reintegrated. Mr. Chairman, I want to draw the attention of the Deputy CDF and the attention of the Joint Chief of Staff that your officers down there are causing mayhem.
They are veterans.
Yes, there is one, General Emmanuel Rashande, and another one, Phinehas Katirima. They are involved in active politics, which is their right, having retired. But they are fighting even before the election period is on. They are causing havoc. I was involved on the 23rd of December.
Honorable Sechko,
yes.
You are creating an impression that the two officers are fighting against each other.
No, against the civilians whom they are supposed to protect and to lead by good example. Whereas it is their right to participate now in politics now that they are retired. But what they caused on the ground on the 23rd, Mr. Chairman, I was involved as the area member of parliament. And indeed, they were the ones who held a rally, a meeting of that kind, and were beating up people who were not agreeing with them. And this is not the discipline we have known of the UPDF, Mr. Chairman. Now that the two are here,
thank you.
May we get the assurances that this money they are demanding, the 213 billion, is not going in the hands of those who are not really adding production and development to the country, but are using it, and they are using this money, the army vehicles, the escorts they have, to intimidate and beat up people in the civilian life.
Thank you, Honorable Sechko.
I have two issues for clarification. One is on the budget performance for the half year, where they have indicated that what was released was 1,833 billion, and what was spent was 1,799 million. And the performance percentage is 98.2%. When you look at what was released vis-a-vis what was spent, we have no explanation. We have no justification on the balance of the 33 billion. The percentage is zero, including the wage. There is some balance on the wage. So we don't know how this came about. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, around the financial year, I think 2018, 17-18, government appropriated money to Ministry of Defense to install the solar project at Kororo. And we were convinced that this solar project would actually generate more money to government because they were supposed to sell it to the national grid. Up to today, when we are considering whenever we are considering either the budget framework paper or the ministerial policy statement for the entity, this does not come up. Can we know what it has contributed to the economic growth of this country? Lastly,
of the implementation of the project.
yes. No, the implementation actually, the Kororo project, it was done, it was finished.
Okay.
We are now interested in knowing how much does it bring to the ministry or to government.
Thank you.
Lastly, Mr. Chairman, is on pension and gratuity.
Gratuity.
We of us as the members of parliament, where we needed to interest ourselves. Yes, we enhanced salary for the UPDF, and it was done in bits, in percentages, because much as one of us has asked about or how far with the implementation, but I also recall that even majors, lieutenant colonels, it was done in percentages. Phases. In phases. It has not been fully implemented. So as they explained to Honorable Sechkubo's concern, then that should also be put into consideration. Because this...
just a rejoinder. And
there are schedules, officers and men of UPDF, they are schedules for retirement. They know when they are going. And if this is not done, then what is the effect to that officer or a soldier who has retired? And lastly, Mr. Chairman, this is to us as members of parliament. These officers and men, especially those who retire, they come back to us. And even those who are still serving, when you look at...
They are all candidates for retirement anyway.
Yeah, they are all candidates for retirement. But when you look at what a soldier goes back home with, it is really a shame. I think it's high time that we actually quicken the process of the UPDF bill so that these veterans, these officers and veterans who are serving and those who have gone, really their issues are catered for. And now they have brought it at a very right time, where when the bill is with us, they have given us the projection, especially on pension and gratuity.
Yes.
I think it's high time that this particular budget item is well thought of when we are considering the budget for this financial year. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nyeko Makin. Are you...
And we seek more clarifications on our men in uniform that are in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nyeko.
And in Mbuya joined headquarters. Honorable Chair, I would like to know how much does each unit, if they are 700 and they need 20, sorry, it is page 14 and 16, but they need 23 billion, I think. No? Am I right? Go to page where there is construction, I think it is page, yes. I would like to know how much each unit costs, and if there is any construction of Mbuya Joint Headquarters, how much, so that we can know if, because they are saying across the country, and you know the cost of each unit differs from region to another. How did they, come to that figure?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Then two, Honorable Chair, in relation to what Honorable Nyeko said, talked about Operation Suja. Honorable Chair, would like to know as members of the committee, a longer-term procedure for this issue. When shall we end, that operation? Because are we going to remain at war for all the time? Even Karamoja itself, we are in NRM government that has existed for quite a long time, and Karamoja is a small part of Uganda. But how can we bring Karamoja to sanity in a long term?
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable.
What exactly, according to the accounting officer, is happening with this animal called Uzima? Year in, year
This
out.
animal, this.
Yes, because it is year in, year out, it is swallowing. We are injecting. For it is always in losses. What is the problem? Because we are injecting, other companies are running the same project smoothly and they are not at the low capacity like Uzima. But year in, year out, we are injecting in Uzima.
Honorable Abdara, is Parliament funding Uzima?
We are on the issue of injecting public funds. What is the problem?
How are we injecting it in?
And it is indicated in the presentation here. What is the problem? We are injecting money in Uzima.
Yeah. Thank you.
Two, I'm also aware that NEC started a security company. And it is nowhere anywhere here.
Private.
Yes. The way, because they always, what is happening? Because nothing is listed for it, we are not supporting it in any way, because totally it is not mentioned anywhere in the presentation. What is the problem? And lastly, as far as ATMIS is concerned, ATMIS? We thought that by end of 2024, we are going to be forgetting about spending any money in Somalia, because we are supposed to close and our forces come back. But still I'm seeing something that we are still going to be incurring expenses as far as facilitating the forces there. It is 1.7 now, 1.799. This is page.
Thank you.
Page 5.
I beg your pardon?
I was saying, Mr. Chairman, that this is a clown from Mukono posing as the MP of Mukono municipality. If what we see in the social media is anything to go by,
we closed that.
I'm so grateful that we are not arrested by now.
Honorable Chireke, we closed that.
No, I'm saying I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Because Mr. Chairman, the last I saw in the social media was that you, as the leader of the clowns on this committee, are going to be arrested. And I'm saying I'm very grateful that we have not been arrested. So if you closed it, it's good, but it is, when something goes out, it is out. One time I was with Keno Tumukunde on CBS radio, and he made some remarks, and after those remarks, he was imprisoned for years. I don't know if this is the same UPDF, and that we are still moving using the same law and the same constitution, because these days we see people make remarks in the media.
Honorable Bachireke, Rule 199, let's restrict ourselves to the budget framework paper.
Mr. Chairman, that is within the budget, because this is the army we are funding, and I want to know which laws they are using. Are they still the UPDF that is provided for under the Constitution, or this is a completely new force? So, Mr. Chairman, the people of Mukono would like to get an assurance that really UPDF is still committed to moving by the Constitution of Uganda, especially in regard to the recent behavior of its commander.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, having said that, for sure, is Uganda at war? If I go to Mukono and I'm addressing people, should I tell them that we are at war as a country or we are in peace times? And if we are at war, when will these wars end? Every time we look at the budget, Mr. Chairman, we are funding UPDF over and above all other priorities of the country. And that should be very clear information coming from the army about its operations. 2, Mr. Chairman, that was a time when it was reported that we were attacked in Somalia. We waited to, because I've seen here value expenses, whatever. Never, we did not see UPDF converging for money and for values. I don't know what happened. Neither were we, even families, some people don't know exactly where their children are. If your child, if your relative was deployed in Somalia, there was an attack, there was no information that came out in terms of saying that these are the names of the people who fell at the battleground in Somalia, these were the injured, you know, nothing came out. We kept on waiting. So even the Parliament directed the minister to bring a statement on that matter. Up to now, that statement has never been issued, Mr. Chairman. And I wonder why the ministry and UPDF at that matter continue to deny this House information. 3, it's the issue of uniforms. Money here is being voted for uniforms, Mr. Chairman. But even if you look here, you will see so many shades of colors. And I would like to know if we could be given at least a list of the gazetted uniforms of UPDF, especially because people have been arrested from my party, tortured, sodomized. Yes. Paraded before the court martial with a claim that they have been putting on clothes which are a preserve of the UPDF. And what are these people putting on? A red overall and a red cap. So I want to know for sure, what are the gazetted uniforms of UPDF?
Yes, that's your question.
Yes. And then, Mr. Chairman, we do travel. We visit other countries. In fact, in some countries, there is a day which they call a combat day. And not necessarily the people putting on uniform of the army, but something similar. Because, you know, the army is supposed to be a people's army. But the vindictiveness, the cruelty being displayed by UPDF against the citizens of this country for putting on clothes, you know, that appear with camouflage shades, clothes that are imported and taxed as they enter into the country, clothes that are sold at shops. Those are manufactured for civilian wear, Mr. Chairman. So I want to know, why is UPDF behaving in such a manner? Why are they becoming so too aggressive, especially against the people who dress up for political reasons, Mr. Chairman, especially people coming from my party.
Okay.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, We have people who are ready to testify, and I want UPDF to get out properly on this. People have been in the hands of the army as detainees, and they come back complaining that they were sodomized. Recently, the CDF came out and said that in fact it doesn't support even the law we made here as Parliament. So I want to know about the position of UPDF on same-sex marriage, because their commander, to me, is their spokesperson.
Okay, you made your point.
Thank you.
No,
behind. Now, is the UPDF more protected than God? And under what criteria are they protecting these men of God? Mr. Chair, I'm a little scared even to give offertory in born-again churches because it looks insecure. So I would like to know from the UPDF, these men who are dressed in your uniform smartly, standing behind a man of God, so-called man of God, with a gun, and all those, I don't know the military language, with bullets and all these things. And then also some civilians, actually, with no security threat. We have crime intelligence, we have Uganda police. Nowadays, Mr. Chair, we are running into campaigns. You see some people are saying, I'm connected to so I'm connected to a minister, both of both, is coming to campaign, and yes, true. I'm just giving an example, but they use big names because no one will claim saying I'm connected to Brandon. But now, these people are armed. I wrote a letter. I have this incident in Gaddafi barracks in Jinja. There is a so-called pastor, doctor, man of God. He's somewhere eyeing for political interest, but he moves with about 4 of these armed people. Green. I wrote to the RDs, I wrote to the DISO, I wrote one officer in this parliament who is a colleague of mine, and I wasn't answered, but I have documents. At an appropriate time, Honorable Chair, I will share them with you. Now, as a spokesperson of the NRM, some things cannot be defended when we are right here sitting. And when you ask, we shall handle. That's the normal. Now, if you can tell Brandon, who speaks for all the NRM MPs in Parliament, shall handle, and the issue is not handled, how about someone from Rita Makoli in Wiengo? So, please, UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Forces, let us lift this price of Uganda People's Defenses so that it's not ugly army for the... If somebody has a security threat, police is there. And there are so many other measures. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to singly go back on radio and defend the defendable because I love the UPDF.
Thank you.
What Honorable Amwak and Honorable Sebekari have just stated, Uganda Air Cargo Corporation. Honorable Chair, this Honorable Committee did observe that Uganda Air Cargo, if properly capitalized, could be sole cargo for our maybe men and equipment in time of operation. What has the Minister of Defense done actually to make sure that Uganda Air Cargo is capitalized? Because this committee has always been giving a recommendation, and always, because it is not under their priority, I want to know whether it is under their priority or not, they have always had zero allocation. Yet this is an area that would attract a lot of NTR, even to the Minister of Defense. Then also on NEC Agro, like my colleague has stated, I am a member of COSASE, and we did visit and saw what they are doing. And no wonder the Auditor General's report has posted them as one of the profit making. I have an issue with the NEC Katonga farms, which posted negative in terms of NTR. I want to know from General Ula, what is not being done correctly, and why do you need to be capitalized when you are making zero profits? Because you are in negatives, in fact not even zero, negatives. You are making losses. And for NEC Uzima, actually you are making profit, but can you justify this allocation that you are calling for, and that is going, because it is only for R&D. What is R&D?
Madam Buturo, Mrs. Boturo, you'll answer that question on pension. And followed by construction, general basic, construction and solar. And then
Honorable Chair, I want to first of all thank this Honorable Parliament and specifically the Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs for the support we have received as a ministry in this direction. That until for 2014-15, we had never had a budget called pension and gratuity. And from that time, since the decentralization project or program started, we have consistently, Chair, paid our soldiers their pension and terminal benefits generally on time and to the level that is deserving of the respective ranks. Honorable Chair, we've been doing this in a phased way. First of all, as you recall, Chair, we had to inherit, we call it inheriting, the defense payroll, which was at Ministry of Public Service for quite a number of years. We got a supplementary budget that year, 2014-15, of 34 billion shillings, which we spent following verification of this pension budget. In the same year, Chair, we retired the first batch of UPDF. And we did this, Chair, following, we started with the current year, 14-15. And around that time, Chair, you recall that we had to do a verification exercise. We went out countrywide and captured a number of our soldiers who had, as of then, never seen anything called a pension on their account. So, Chair, I first of all to commend the government that since that time we have consistently paid our soldiers their pension. Chair, as the honourable member rightly raised, there are some other auxiliary forces. We have talked about Amuka, the Wenzori group, veterans, the WNBF, West Nile Bank Front, and some UPDF, like you said, sir, who have not been paid since 1992. And even World War veterans were in our category of soldiers to be paid. So we have, over time, working backwards, because the question has always been, why do you pay those who have just retired and you have not considered those who retired much earlier? Yeah. We had to go through a verification exercise for those retired much earlier for us to be able to capture the accurate information. First of all, is this person alive? What's their rank? Are they deserving of the rank? And all that. So we had to go through a verification exercise to capture the outstanding since 1992. Now, for the other auxiliary forces, Chair,
yes, besides
UPDF, we had what we called NYA, NYA. We had what we called RIF, Reduction in Force, the 1992, and others. So as recently as last year, Chair, we want to also inform this Honourable House that we're able to pay a new entrant, the UNRF, from West Nile, one of the West Nile. We had two groups in West Nile. One, we completely paid off the 5 billion shillings, and then one that is appearing here, the 21 billion not yet paid, is under verification. So the groups mentioned and yet to be paid, the Amuka, the Wenzori, the WNBF, are still under verification and are planned to be paid as soon as that verification exercise is done. But we have an estimation of how much they are supposed to be paid. So what I wanted to emphasize, sir, is that this is a priority area for us, from what I've said, and we are continually paying off these groups of honorable people who will serve this country. And until the last person is paid, we are not going to rest. So our prayer today was the 21 billion shillings that has been planned for the WNBF be granted, because we are in the process of finalizing.
So that means Western Nile Bank front is verified, documented and verified.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
I've decided to do it in a phased manner because we don't have all the resources to do it at once, but it is in the process. But even to make it a more important program, the President has set a committee of cabinet under the chairship of Attorney General, who is trying to holistically look at the issue of the veteran affairs of the veterans, so that all of them are brought on board. And I'm a member of that committee. We are also concluding our report that we will also be taking to cabinet.
Okay.
Clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Clarification.
When you look at it's good you are one of those who drafted that law. When you look at that law, these groups here, like UNRF, is one of the groups that has been captured there. It's there in it. You just open the schedule and you will see that it's there. But when you come to the issue of NRI, especially that group you are talking about, which has not been captured there, these are people we are already paying, but they are under the backlog group. And their schedule is from retirement from that time up to 2014. And that's why even those who qualify for pension, their pension is very low, which Honorable said there are those who are getting even 30,000. Because we are using the formula under public service, which needed somebody to be there for more than 60 years. But when you look at the rules and procedures, let me use the parliamentary word, for the military. Some of the people retire when they have not even served for 10 years, not even 5 years. So when you use that formula of public service, it disservices them. And that's why in this bill that we have now tabled before you, we want to correct that. And when it is corrected, those who now qualify for pension are going to get a better pension. And that's why even now, after the enhancement that has been done, because it has not been approved in the law, their enhancement is still very low. It's not automatic that their pension has been increased. That's what I can say on that group that you are talking about. And for those who didn't have the numbers, because I know that's the next question you are going to ask, especially our people here in Luere Triangle, they worked, they fought, but they didn't get any numbers. They were satisfied when they
that one, guarding the men of God
and women.
Honorable Chair, that's not our policy.
Good.
And I would request my honorable member, who is the NRM spokesperson, to give us the details, because he cited one example in Jinja. If other people have been saying we shall handle, but this time we shall handle it for real.
Thank you.
I just
That's a good commitment.
Give us details.
Okay.
Honorable Chair, I will quickly rush to how many types of uniforms does UPDF have. Honorable Chair, we have various types of uniforms, that's what I want to say. Why? Because of the services. Let me start with the land forces. The land forces, we have this, what we are putting on, desert camouflage. This uniform is for external operations. For instance, when we are operating in Sudan area, Somalia, we put on this. Then we have the second one, which is called woodland. woodlands purely green, but also in this fashion. This is for internal operations here in the country. Then we have number one. Number one is ceremonial, long sleeved. Then we have counter suit, a working dress. Some of the colleagues are putting on it.
Like Kano and Udu? Huh? Is this the one?
Yes, yes, Honorable Chair. Now the colors vary according to the service. I've talked of land forces. Air Force, Dugugoni, that is sky blue for the Air Force. Now we break it down to the formations, like the divisions. We identify formations by their uniform. For instance,
General Kiding, are these specified by a schedule in the law or regulation?
Yes.
That is all. That's all we need. Yeah.
And all uniforms of the UPDF are gazetted.
Gazetted. That was the question. Yeah. So what you do, supply to us the gazetted list of uniforms. So when we find a different form that is not gazetted.
Many of our supporters in NUP have been arrested and aligned before the court martial and charged with putting on clothes that are a preserve of UPDF, and our party colors are red and our members dress in red overalls or red counter suits and then red capes. I've just heard right now that he used the word kaunda suit. And Mr. Chairman, this is a very wide thing. Kaunda suits people put on them, including my husband. So now I want to know if now a kaunda suit is one of is a preserve of UPDF, and the two, why they continue to arrest our supporters for putting on our party uniform, whereas it is not one of those he has mentioned as gazetted uniforms of UPDF.
Thank you. You made your point. That's why what you do, supply, and it is specific for only you. A preserve of the UPDF. So anything. So unless you are making, because that's the issue.
Yes, Chair, as a victim, because the army raided my home last year in May.
Either you are asking for a response or you are...
Yes, Chair, they raided my home in May over the same issue, even without following procedures that would acquire the CDF. Overalls could be in different colors. And it is because it is we chose red. For political parties have different colors that literally they use as their symbols and differentiate them different from other political parties. You need to respect, and even their yellow overalls, of which they have yellow ballets, this selective targeting of the opposition members, especially the NUP, that are being held in the military courts, should stop.
Thank you.
Honorable, I was heading to that formations are identified by their uniforms. I can give an example. Artillery from land forces, they are identified by the black berets. Military police is identified by red berets. So the honorable member maybe is not speaking. If maybe they will go with red berets. Red berets, that's part of our uniform, sincerely. Black berets, part of our uniform. Green berets for infantry divisions, part of our uniform. And because a uniform is complete, right from the beret or the cap up to the boot.
Chair, it should be clear the symbol that differentiates the symbol.
Honorable Nyako, I thought we asked for purposes of respect.
Exactly.
The question was, why do UPDF have several uniforms? I gave the answer because each service has its own uniform.
No, the question was.
Secondly,
I asked the question. The question was that Kaunda suits are your uniforms, and that's why I gave the rejoinder that which Kaunda suit.
Green. I showed it here.
The other question was, why do you continue arresting our people dressed in red and parading them before the court martial, when the actual fact is that you don't own that color red exclusively?
Red berets
and
are
thirdly,
arrested.
why is it that people belonging to other political parties have been seen even dressed in your real uniforms and you don't arrest them?
Okay.
And
you have made your point.
Why is it that, Mr. Chairman, this country continues to allow importers to import textile?
Now that's a policy.
That
Minister,
is
yeah, that's now at policy level.
And these clothes are at our shops and they are being sold.
I
and
hear
then
you.
The other day, if you are noob, they will arrest you and they put you before the court martial.
That's now a policy matter which the minister should address. General Kiding, and we conclude.
To the House.
Thank you. Next.
Yes.
Chair, with a symbol that clearly differentiates.
Because unless you have a gazetted list, which he said, a list of symbols, uniforms, and insignia, so that people stop putting them on. That's it.
You will find that without the UPDF, you can't have the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. We are one and same. There is no known other position of the position on the same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage or homosexuality in Uganda is criminal. So those that are alleging to have been sodomized, and of course this is matter that we've never had, those we encourage you to take them to take legal action against the specific offenders. Otherwise, for us as UPDF, that's not a policy issue that we scatter around it. It is a matter that was settled in 1923 in the Penal Code Act and was also presently settled in this other Anti-Homosexuality Act. So we don't want to be dragged into the politics of homosexuality. That is a taboo even for us to keep on saying it. So things, I think they are only known in some other cities, in some other places. Meanwhile, allow me on behalf of the UPDF and Ministry
Mr. Chairman, there are questions you raised that have
Which
not
question
been
that has not been answered?
I raised Suja N. And when will the Karamoja operations end? Let me start from home. Honorable Chair, I want to inform the House that right now there is relative peace in Karamoja and the neighboring districts. That is a fact. As much as we are trying as a country, as Uganda, but we should also be mindful that that area of Karamoja borders other two countries. We have Kenya on the other side of the east and then South Sudan on the north. If everybody was committed the way we are committed in Uganda, then that question will be easy to answer. But in Southern Sudan, there is no government in those areas bordering us. So the operation will not end. And the border is porous. There is no wall barring the other people from infiltrating into our country.
Okay.
That is about Karamoja.
Shuja?
It will end when all the three governments come together. Yes, there is what UPDF can do. There is what...
Order, Mr. Chairman. Order.
No.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Order for what?
Mr. Chairman, this is very serious. Mr. Chairman.
Switch on.
I don't want to speak lies. I base my speech on facts. We don't have a wall between Kenya and Uganda. We don't have a wall between South Sudan and Uganda. The border is porous. That is the one. You cannot stop illegal movement of guns.
Unless you build a wall.
We need to accept what we are doing here. It is what other people should do so that we pacify the region. Unless you are giving us the mandate, go and carry out this operation in South Sudan. Fine.
No. General Kiding, next question.
The next question is about Operation Suja.
Yes.
Honorable Chair, we are all fresh with what happened in Kasese when our children were slaughtered by ADF. Now, when we sit, then we shall have this operation inside the country. It was a very brilliant idea that we follow the ADF inside Congo. Again, the situation in Congo is not as ordinary as we may think. By deploying our soldiers to Eastern DRC has brought some sanity. But to ask when will it end? Then we need to also to ask how many people are involved, how many parties are involved in this conflict. I threw that question to you.
Okay, so
Can we
Kololo, solar power.
More clarification.
Yeah. On which line?
To feed.
Because with little damage and little expenses on, Kololo is a highly developed area. Very, very developed. So the line...
No, the intention, Honorable Minister, intention of this committee is that they allocated, they give money.
Yes. So
and they don't want to see that wasted.
That work is in progress, and we are waiting for the line to be constructed with the Minister of Education, Minister of Energy, from Kololo to the nearby Lugogo.
But already there is what is being consumed by NIRA. That one will follow up. That is for us. Because that's NTR.
Okay.
Okay.
That the victims of attack...
There has never been official communication. Yeah, that was Honorable Betty.
That the families don't...
And Mr. Chairman, I even referred the fact that that same minister had promised to bring a report to Parliament.
We are yet to know, and Honorable Betty is my MP, where I live. And I would benefit from if there are any known family that are complaining of a missing person, so that we handle.
No, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. I
now much clearly.
Honorable Minister.
Statement was made by the Commander-in-Chief about the number of people who lost their lives. In the military, they don't do mourning.
Now what is this money for?
They don't do a group national day of mourning.
What is this money for now?
Burials.
Or they do burials.
Where did you bury them now?
Every soldier, every victim was repatriated and taken to their home. And there was no official, or they did it according to the military etiquette, and the family...
There are two other questions you needed to come
So,
on.
Honorable, it was done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are sorry that we didn't get back to Parliament to inform you.
Okay.
But it was done.
Okay.
Is there some
go on and on?
request to have another opportunity?
Thank you. I was coming. Other issues where you need from the clarifications and the issue, the commitments you have made, and make good on them. We need, because once it is gazetted.
Anytime soon. But I also want to thank the men in uniform, the generals, because
from the questions asked to sentiments and innuendos, I can assure you, as far as 11th Parliament is concerned, and the committee that I chair, they are all meant to strengthen you. There is no malice, although some are called Nyeko, but there is no malice, there is no spoiler. All these people are committed to make you look stronger than you were, for God and my country.